Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Twisted Cast, episode 5. Today, we're going to be reviewing, or just basically talking about our thoughts and opinions on Twisted Metal 2. Last episode, we talked about Twisted Metal 1, and we're going to basically go down the same exact format we did with that one, because it was a lot of fun. So, with that, we're going to start out with our own personal stories of when we first got in touch with TM2, when we first played it as a kid, or if it was recent. I guess I'll start out with mine. From what I remember, I got Twisted Metal 2 for a Christmas present the year after I got Twisted Metal 1, which is the first one in the series that I played. And because I loved it so much, and I played it all the time with my brother, my parents decided to get me Twisted Metal 2, thinking that it was, the next evolution in the series and I should have a good time with it. And to be honest with you, I don't remember TM2 all that much as a kid playing it. I probably disliked it as much as I do now. But it's one of those things where I tried giving it a chance. I think it was just too difficult for me. So I kind of put it on the, to the side for a while until the next year when TM3 came out, and I ended up getting that. And that was actually the one I put the most hours in as a kid. But yeah, TM2 is just kind of, at least for me as a kid, was kind of meh. But Drew, how about you? When did you get TM2?
Oh boy, howdy. So my experience with TM2 came much later in life than I think most people. I was 12 or 13, got it on PSN from PlayStation 3, but I did buy Twisted Metal 2 much earlier as a gift for my friend for his birthday party. And at the time, I didn't know what harm I was going to do to him mentally. I hope he's okay at this stage in his life,
My
having
gosh.
played the game at such a young age. But I never got to take the game seriously until probably last year when I actually sat down to play it. Because we have a YouTube channel, so we make content on these games. It's
Oh
only
shit!
fitting that I play them sometimes. Yeah,
Wait, you have a YouTube channel?
yeah. I sometimes I do videos and stuff.
I got a
But
sub.
that
I'm
was the first
sorry.
time for these videos that I actually like sat down to say, okay, I have to play this game. I can't just like turn it on for 30 minutes and turn it off because it's clumsy and frustrating.
Yeah.
And I thought eventually my love for it would show up, that I can see what everyone else sees my whole life and reading on the internet from trolls and well-meaning people alike, that this game is perfect in every way, that there's no flaw to it. We're lucky as humans that humanity was blessed with this piece of software, and it's only up to me to see it. Is I have to find that pilgrimage, go to that Mecca, and find the love, and I never could, still can't, and I refuse to try any further.
Hell yeah.
That's my experience. KongDoo, please, can you continue this train of misery?
Yeah. So when I was a kid, I played the 989 games first. I played it in reverse, like 4, 3, 2, 1. Um, I remember when I played 4, I was like a little kid. I was like 3. I'm pretty sure when I played that game. And then I had a little break in between playing the other games. I got 4 first, then I got 3, and I'm trying to remember where I even got 2 from. I mean, I just had the game. It doesn't matter. And when I was a kid, I hated it. Like, I did not like it. But, after coming through all this time and through all the years, like, you get older, you can start to learn more in life. You mature and you play your computer games. And you're like, I want to give this another try, like for real as an adult. And like, I still feel the same way I do, or did as a kid, I should say. Like, my feelings did not change. Like, even as a kid, like the controls would piss me off beyond all belief as a kid. Like, I was getting so angry,
Yeah.
like the little, like before your ball drop squeals of anger. So I was getting mad and I was like smashing the shit on the floor. Like, I was pissed when I would play this game. And that hasn't changed. Like, I get like when I play Twisted Metal 2, I get a genuine rage. Like, I don't, it doesn't happen to me too often. And this is just a game that it makes me so angry. Like, I don't know if this is just like pent up anger from me being a kid or something, but it irritates me to all belief. Like, I can't stand it. Like, I've grown a distaste to this game. Like, I don't think it's a bad game. Like, I'll say that. Like, I don't think the game is like a piece of garbage, because that's just wrong. To say it's a piece of garbage. Like, there's much worse games in Twisted Metal 2. Like, you have Grudge Warriors, Dead in the Water is another game.
Yeah.
They're both terrible. Like, both of those games are just terrible car combat games. And there's plenty of other worse games out there, but I genuinely think this is probably one of the most overrated games I've ever seen in my life. And saying something's overrated doesn't mean it's bad, but people hold this game to the standard of like Twisted Metal Black, which I don't think Twisted Metal Black's the best game in the series either, but they hold it to this standard that's unreal, like actually unreal. And it's confusing to me. Like that's why at first I was like, this has to be nostalgia blending. Like these people got to be like nostalgia pilled beyond all belief to think this is the best game ever made. And I don't understand. I just don't. And it irritates me. What about you, Winters? How do you feel? Do you think this game is the best game ever made? Like, how are you feeling about
No.
Twisted Metal 2?
No, not the best. So I will say, when I first played it, I mostly played Twisted Metal 4 back in the day when I was a kid. I don't really remember much of Twisted Metal 2 during my early days, but I remember when my cousin bought a PS3 to get Metal Gear Solid 4. He bought and paid for the digital PSN version on the PS3. I remember playing it a little bit, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And then coming back to it now, yeah, how do I even say it? It's I kind of agree with what Kong is saying, is that people hold this game to a way higher standard than it needs to be. I'm not saying it's a bad game, but there's definitely some things that irritate the living shit out of me with this game that, if was fixed, would make me probably like it even better.
Yeah.
Looking out to those modders out there, but honestly, there's just some things I don't like about this game. The gameplay doesn't feel as fun and exciting to me personally. I find it more aggravating than fun, especially if you're playing it on hard mode. Especially since the AI just cheats the ever living fuck in the game, just spamming ice over and over and over and over again. Like, what the fuck was I remember recording a video playing Hong Kong, Thumper, and in Hong Kong, that central section where you can kind of like use a teleporter, go up, and you have like that outside part to pick up the health and a couple of weapons.
Yeah.
Fucking Slam, Slam teleports up there and just literally freezes me to fucking death to sending me to the great beyond. And it's just shit like that just pisses me off. I think the physics are, yeah, probably, but legit, I got full health and he froze me to fucking death. It's just little shit like that just makes the game kind of like, it just makes you like, what the fuck.
Yeah.
But there's just some things I like about it, but there's just some things I really don't like about it. I really find it to be my least played right now, considering that I haven't even played Small Brawl before until recently, and I actually play that more in Twisted Metal 2, so that's probably saying something.
Damn right.
Which, speaking of Small Brawl, Goodrich, what do you think of Twisted Metal 2, and when was the first time you played it?
Well, going back to Kong's point of nostalgia, I enjoyed the first one, and then when this one came out, me and my buddies got this one and played it. I enjoyed it, but yes, the cheating in it was very frustrating. But what I really kind of liked about Twisted Metal 2 was the levels had really cool stuff going on, and we hadn't seen in levels before. Like Paris, you could blow it up, open up completely new sections of the level. Like, that was groundbreaking back then. And I guess my saving grace on this is we generally played versus in this, so I didn't have to play the AI too much. But the times that I did play AI, it was really frustrating. And yes, the cheating was very evident. Nonstop freezing and then power missiles or specials. It wasn't a pleasant experience. But I also was a little bit older than when you guys picked it up. Yeah, so I wasn't as frustrated with it, being someone who was a teenager or younger playing it and just having to endure this kind of bullying from the AI.
It's so crazy how going from TM1 to TM2, how much of a difference it was in terms of the AI like aggressiveness. They still had a little bit of that in TM1, but like Winners and Kong were both saying, in Twisted Metal 1, the AI felt more fair. It felt more intelligent, I guess is a better word. And then you go to TM2, and they kind of just spin in circles until you're in the right area, until they can see you. and they all gang up on you.
No, they don't gang
Oof.
up on you. They gang bang you is what happens.
and they'll
Like,
Yeah, they all
constantly-
turn right towards you.
Sorry,
And they'll
I
just
had,
all
I had,
shoot you
a,
at the same time.
yeah, like again, if you're playing fucking Hong Kong and you make that wrong turn, there's like 3 of them right there waiting for you,
Yeah.
ready to fucking pull your pants down and just fuck you in the ass. Like
What I like
it's,
about
it's
TM2 is that it at least buys you dinner first, because the first 4 levels are manageable.
Yeah.
After
first 4
Amazonia,
wait,
that's
wait.
when it.
oh yeah, it's all hell.
Yeah.
Wait, do you say the first 4 levels are manageable? What about
Compared to the-
Moscow?
Yeah, except Moscow. Yeah.
The AI, I mean, the AI on the first 4 levels feels pretty toned down, and then once you get to New York, I feel like that's when the spamming really
Yeah.
starts, with the spamming, with the freezes, the special weapons. Until
I
then,
thought it was
I think it's
flat.
pretty fair.
I thought the difficulty was flat. I didn't think it scales.
For me, I would agree
I don't know
with
if it
Drew on
does.
that. It definitely does feel like
I
it
never
goes up once you get to
that's
New York.
interesting. I never
I mean,
really
that's-
noticed that. That if it's, I really wonder if it does scale. I mean, I'm sure someone probably knows if it does.
Cody
I'm
says
more
it
curious,
does.
actually.
Cody says it does, and I do trust Cody's opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got like 20
Mhm.
million hours into Metal 2 for some reason. So,
That's what he
so,
he
so
probably,
I would,
he
Cody
probably
would
got it
know.
down.
Cody's got more played hours into Smell 2 than hours lived in real life.
Yeah.
He
Mhm.
came out of the womb playing TM2.
Yeah,
I think
he had
if
the
you want a
controller
good
ready.
example of what TM2 means to people, I have in my DMs, I'm not going to divulge too much, but I have a long paragraph from Big Slick detailing each and every enemy in the game and what their tendencies are and how to approach them.
Yeah.
Like he wrote me a book hoping that I would like take from it and actually start to enjoy the game.
Did you
But I
reply
think
with
that's
didn't
the
ask?
lengths people have.
What kind of fun is that? You know, this is like Mortal Kombat 2. It's the same thing. Like Mortal Kombat 2, if you ever played the arcade version, it's fucked. Like that game is fucked. Like I don't know what else to say. Like the AI cheat beyond all belief in that game, and you have to play the same way every time you play it. Like
Yeah.
if
I
you've
mean,
ever
that-
played Mortal Kombat 2 arcade, which is different because it was trying to steal your money. But this wasn't an arcade game.
Yeah.
Like I,
mean,
shouldn't be
that-
having to sit here writing essays trying to figure out what to do just to win a game.
That makes sense though. But I mean, because that was that era. Plus, Jaffe has said that he has based a lot of this off Mortal Kombat 2.
Yeah.
And the times
I
I
can see
visited,
it.
the times I
100%.
visited the Sony studio there, they had a Mortal 2 combat cabinet there, arcade cabinet
I
that
had
they
one
would
of
just
those.
play all day long while they were making games. So I have
mean,
a
I
feeling
can
a
see
lot of
it.
that rubbed off on them.
Yeah.
For sure, but Twisted Metal 1 isn't as bad. That's the thing I don't understand. Like that's the one thing I just don't get is like Twisted Metal 1's not anywhere close to as bad as Twisted Metal 2 is when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah, but I mean,
which is a good point, that if they had that cabinet in there, you can tell with TM2 they really tried to push it more towards that fighting game and cars philosophy. And I think they
Possibly.
took a lot of great things from that, the advanced attacks, the way the cars are more arcadey and maneuverable, but they also took the difficulty with it to try to make it more
Yeah.
like a
I mean,
fighting
they could have
game.
left
Yeah.
that part out.
and they
But
probably
it-
really weren't studying Mortal Kombat 2 at that point, or Mortal Kombat 1. And all
That is
the first
interesting.
one in the series is probably it's going to be easier, and then
Mhm.
as you build upon it, you're going to make it harder and harder as you play it more, and feel like it's too easy. It's a common thing with designers. The more they play their game, the harder they make it.
Right.
Even it moving into like the second version of it, which you get really good. You go, this is too easy. You up the difficulty. You play it some more. You get really good again. You up the difficulty. You keep doing that over and over again until you release an impossible game. And I've made that mistake before. Like you really have to get it focus test and fresh pair of eyes on it. And I
Right.
feel like that didn't happen with this game.
No.
I feel like they tuned it to their
It had-
maximum skill level.
It has
Yeah.
it had a long development cycle, so it shocks me.
16
they didn't.
months.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's a long. That's
It was
longer
16
than
months for TM2.
Yeah, 16 months
Yeah.
is double the budget of the first game.
It came out exactly a year after TM1, didn't it?
No.
So that
Let's
it
see.
did.
19.
It came out. It came out in '96.
It came out
in 96.
Halloween 96, right? And then
So they must
TM1
have
came out
started
Halloween
it.
95.
I think. I don't. Everywhere I've looked, it says 16 months. So I
I
don't-
don't want to make it seem like I don't believe you. I just, because my understanding of TM2 was that it only like started development once they realized the sales potential of TM1, which they
I
couldn't
think
have.
it only took a month though,
known.
for them to dictate that, and then
Yeah.
maybe they started it afterwards. Like I don't know. I'm trying to think. Like When did Twisted 1 release? That's the thing.
Yeah,
It was
that's
in
the question
95.
now. Yeah,
That's the
95
biggest
for sure.
question.
So was it early 95? Because
Initial release date
November
November.
95. So
Yeah,
less
November
than a year
95.
later was TM2.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
I don't
they
know.
started TM2 before they knew how well TM1 would sell.
They
That's interesting.
definitely might have been greenlit a TM2 before TM1 even launched.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
does that include like pre-production or something?
It could be, yeah.
yeah, the
They
last
expressed a lot of like they didn't know how TM1 was gonna like be
Mm-hmm.
because they thought it was gonna be a flop. They thought Warhawk was gonna be the game,
Right.
and Twisted Metal was a small project on the side. So I'm surprised they started the project so soon.
Yeah,
where,
same.
Where did you see this development time?
If you just Google Twist Metal 2 development time, it's like everywhere if you find it says 16 months.
Single Track began brainstorming ideas for Twisted Metal sequel in late '95 due to the success of the original. Twisted Metal 2 was allotted 16 months for development.
Yeah.
Maybe they
Then
were
it came out
allotted
less
it,
than a
but they
year.
didn't use the 16 months.
Yeah,
I mean, single track
It
was
just says
separate.
Oh, maybe.
So,
It just says allotted. So
Yeah,
maybe
maybe.
they were probably just provided that, but probably didn't utilize.
Oh,
the
you know
16
what?
months.
I
That
think
could
they
be.
did start working on it earlier because they talked about changing everything over to hover cars and making it more futuristic.
Mm-hmm.
And then once they found out, hey, Twisted Metal might be like a legit brand the way we presented it to the world, we need to pivot back to, regular cars.
Yeah.
So I think the 60 months does make
Possibly.
sense, yeah. So maybe they started like a sequel that was going to be wildly different. But
Yeah, it's hard to
once
say.
they-
Definitely possible.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I see.
But either way, it's still
definitely
crazy
possible.
to me that they, like, it really, to me, feels TM2 out of any game in the entire series, to me, feels the most unfinished. It feels like a prototype or like an alpha.
Compare even TM3,
Yes.
wow.
Really?
Yes.
Whoa.
I will easily
even
say
the
that.
turbo effect in Twisted Metal 3, like Jim told me that's a placeholder, even like the turbo effect, because
That's
that game's
crazy.
not even done. Like the game's Twisted Metal 3 is not finished. Like it's
No, it's not.
done.
No, it's definitely not finished. Even TM4 is not finished in a lot of ways. But I can honestly say that TM2 for me, gameplay wise, like feels the least finished.
Yeah, put that in the thumbnail.
Okay.
Good lord.
That's a
Oh,
good one.
man.
It's Twisted Metal 2 unfinished.
TM2 is
TM4.
actually a beta.
Oh, no.
Why do you think
Early-
it's
early
like
Jack and
betas.
Oh my
Goodrich.
gosh.
I think
what
that's
about
why
the
actually
gameplay?
has 2 wheels. They couldn't finish it to give him all 4 wheels.
Yeah,
That makes
you
sense.
couldn't
now.
have all four.
Yeah, that's where Axel
Oh
came
my
from. They
God.
just were too lazy to put 2 more wheels on it.
But why do you think that? Like, what makes you think that Twisted Metal?
So
2
the
is not
biggest
finished?
biggest thing for me is the balancing. So like how fucking broken so many people's like specials feel, and so many like the ram damage for
Yeah.
Warthog is completely broken. Axel's completely broken. Thumper, his special can just literally obliterate even minion, which makes no sense. The freeze spamming from Mr. Slam, Sweet Tooth's AI special spam. I mean, the list goes on there. The balancing is just, it doesn't feel like anybody played the game. It literally feels like they just put it all together with code. Like, it'll work. Just print it out, send it out. Like, no one played it. And then,
I think Goodrich was right. I think it wasn't that they didn't play it. I think they played it too much.
no, yeah, and
They
I
got so
definitely
used to
can
how
agree
bad
to
it
that
was.
too when it comes to the difficulty of the AI, like the aggressiveness. But
Yeah, it was just all internalized.
But I
Like,
would
they just
say,
didn't have
but
it
I
on
would
purpose.
argue, like, if you played it too much, you think it's too hard. I don't think making characters like the ram damage and stuff broken. I don't think that makes sense. As like why that would. I feel like that's not played enough. If that makes sense. Like it wasn't enough QAs
Yeah.
messed with it to be like, hey, this is a problem.
Yeah, unfortunately, QA is
Yeah.
not going to catch that. That means the designer would have had to play that and notice this. And if they were knee deep, like in this, to the point that they didn't have time to like test every single vehicle and every single situation,
Right.
then they're not going to catch things like that. The only thing playtest does is tell you this is broken, this crashes here, I can go through the wall. They almost never bring up balancing issues
I'm
because they don't
surprised,
know
'cause
what the numbers are.
Wow.
Like they don't know how this character's, but they don't do feel. They don't do game feel. They only do, is this going to break the game? Is this going to crash the game? Does frame rate drop? Things like that.
Very technical stuff, not like.
Very technical stuff. They don't come back and say, You know what? Axel doesn't quite feel like Axel. Like Jaffe would have thrown a controller at their head if they said that to him. He would have been, shut up on the creative, get back there and run into this wall 5 more times until you go through it.
That's fair. That makes sense. And yeah, like, you know, that's like the biggest thing for me. The balancing just feels really off. It doesn't make sense. The physics, I've talked about that before, just feel like really broken in a lot of ways. I mean, like sometimes it feels like you have moon gravity, and that could just be again part of the engine they use. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff like that where it just feels like it didn't get the love it needed to make it a full finished product. That would be a great game. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I worry
that's
that
how
if
I
the
feel.
game had a year longer in development, none of those problems would be fixed. I think they wanted it that way.
I agree. Yeah, I do think that's also the case as well. And it could just come down to like what Goodrich was saying, where like they played it too much and they spent too much time on it, and they kept going back to it and making it more difficult, and changing this, changing this to where they kind of got lost on their original fundamentals. Because to be honest, the beta build of TM2 I actually prefer playing than the final product, because in the beta a lot of the stuff was fixed or like not as broken, some of the characters. And like for instance, like on Moscow, you only go against I think 3 enemies, and there's way more weapon pickups. So, and that's just like one example. There's a ton of other changes, but it's just like, why did they go back to the drawing board and been like, actually, we're gonna go against like 5? I think is it 4 enemies, 5 enemies on Moscow?
It's 5.
It's
Yeah,
5.
sure
Let's
it's
go against
5.
5 enemies, and we're gonna make it so there's only 2 weapon pickups the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, why'd they do that?
What a weird
Yeah.
choice.
I don't get
It's
that.
artificial difficulty.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
we stripped out a lot of power-ups in Small Brawl based on Sony too. Their feedback as far as making it harder. But yeah, as far as like the physics and things bouncing around,
Mhm.
I have a feeling this is a single track thing, and Jaffe and crew could have complained about it, and single track could have came back and said, "We can fix it, but it's going to be 6 more months to do it because we're going to have to tear down the engine and rebuild it
Right.
in order to accommodate these things." Because there's a lot of times where these are core issues to the engine, and if it was built a certain way, you just can't change it without major rework.
Right. And you know, I don't want to come across and say like it was all deliberate, like this is the way they wanted it to be and it's a problem. It's just the way I look at when I'm playing the game. I just don't have an enjoyable experience, and that's how I feel when I'm playing it. It feels like a beta. But, you know, if people enjoy it and they can get past those quirks and they still have a good time, like more power to them. I
That's
respect
fair. That's fair.
Yeah. I mean,
I think you're the beta. You don't like TM2?
it.
yeah, of course.
Oh no.
Hey, only my
I just
wife
think
can call
it's-
me that.
I just think it's like when people say there. I mean, because I know it's a meme at this point with people saying that this game is like, you know, has no issues, whatever. But there are some people who genuinely think that way,
Yeah.
and I don't. I mean, I would love to know why, because I've never gotten an actual answer. The only things I've gotten is just like broken English and you're just bad at the game.
Broken
As a
English is
response?
very accurate.
That's all, or like saying TW2 instead of Twisted Metal 2. Like
Yeah,
that's all I've
TW2, I
ever
see that
gotten.
all the
It's just broken anger English is all I ever get as a response
Mm-hmm.
for when people like when you criticize the game. It's never an actual like rebuttal. It's always just
Yeah.
you're bad at the game. Which if you're saying that as an argument, you've already lost.
Right.
Like people shouldn't need to sit there and play a game for 50 million hours just to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Kong, my finger slipped. I'm sorry, I put a TW2. I fixed it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gosh.
See, it happens to the best of us. Okay. They didn't have comment editing back in the day, so a lot of people still
Yeah.
don't realize they can do that these days.
Yeah, the TW2, the classic.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're kind of already harping on Twisted Metal 2 a lot, but what can we talk about is, you know, the good part about it? Like,
Nah,
what are
back
aspects of
to
it that
hating
we
on
like?
it. So anyway, TM2 fucking
What's
The
sucks,
levels.
right?
The levels are definitely the best part of the game for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah,
Like, I think
100%.
Antarctica is a really creative level.
Thank you.
Very, very
Yes.
creative.
Yeah.
Like, it's my favorite level in that game. Like I really like how the dynamic of that level.
Yeah. I got called like an idiot one time in my comment section for saying Antarctica is the best map in the game. And I was
I
like,
don't see
what?
why.
It's best by far.
yeah,
It's
like,
really cool.
I'm like, it looks cool. I like the dynamic of how it gets smaller over time. It feels like a battle royale before that was even a concept.
Mhm.
The music is amazing. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's got a good flow to it. Like, I don't know why people think that map sucks. And these are like veterans of TM2 that think the game's amazing, but they're like, nah, dude, like Holland's a better map. Like, okay,
It's just an empty plane.
yeah, literally.
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
know.
people
I
will
don't know
people
about
will
it.
defend Holland and say it's a great map, but then shit on Washington D.C. and TM3, and it's like the same thing. It's
Yeah,
just
I've
one has more
noticed that
more
too.
people.
I think when you're
Yeah.
so insecure and your self-worth comes from like how good you are at TM2, I think that's where the Holland love comes in. Because if you
Maybe.
can prove, it's like in SpongeBob when he's trying to get into the salty spittoon. I think that's, oh, I'm so tough. I played Holland with no specials.
Oh
And then they let
shit!
you in.
I suppose.
Everyone else goes to Weenie Hut Jr. if you can't do that.
Yeah,
I wish
That-
Cody was here. Right now. I'm wondering what his opinion on that level is. I genuinely want to know.
I think he's told me he
Honestly.
dislikes it. I want to say,
So I'm
but he'll let
curious.
us know in the comments. I'm sure on this video.
Probably.
But
I think most of the maps are pretty solid in TM2.
Except
The
for
only ones
Moscow.
I would, except for Moscow and Holland, the other
Yeah,
ones are
Moscow
at,
cheated,
at
dude.
Yeah.
worst they're okay.
I would put
Most
New
of them are
York
pretty
in that
good.
list as
Yeah.
the shit list. I have New York below Holland.
Yeah, New York
Really?
is
I hate
a
that
fucking
fucking map.
amazing. I don't
Really?
understand.
Hate that map. Yeah, I hate that map. Like, I don't like it.
I'm
It's
actually on
'cause
the
of the
side
terrible
that
physics
likes
in the
New
game.
York. I don't mind it.
I
Same.
don't like it.
My only gripe with New York is that some parts of it just feels way too open, and I just hate the fact that they put the weapons so close to the damn edge
Yeah,
on
yeah,
some
that
on
is
some
annoying.
some locations. Like
Yeah,
that part to me just really sucks. But like I like the atmosphere of it, like being on top of the skyscrapers in New York.
hmm
And I like the soundtrack of it, but for as much as I like it, I think it could be better.
I
think
actually
Twisted Metal
had
one did it better.
I had like a note written down for one of the fun facts for this, and I'll just bring it up now. It says like in the ending, and I didn't realize this until I read this. In the ending cutscenes, the players meet Calypso on the rooftops of New York, but the final level in the game is Hong Kong, with New York being the fifth
Yeah.
level. This could imply that New York rooftops were the final level originally, as it would relate to the final level in Twist Metal 1995. And
Maybe they just didn't want to. It was be overly redundant. Maybe.
yeah,
They didn't
that's the only
wanna
thing I could think
repeat the
of. They
same
just
thing.
didn't want to do the same thing. But I could
It's
see
so
New
open,
York
though.
being the same, like the final level, because it's a fucking hard map. It's hard.
It's a hard map, and it's open enough to where you could put Darktooth on there.
Maybe.
I mean, I don't know. I think he would
Mm,
fall off the map. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
I think he's too
Yeah,
big.
he
He
would-
would drive off the cliff.
Yeah, well, they would have to rework it the way that it was released for sure.
Right. Maybe
Yeah,
that's
that's me
why.
way
Maybe
bigger.
that's the real reason. They wanted Darktooth, but they couldn't fit him on that level.
I can
it.
see that. There's a lot of narrow pathways that I don't think Darktooth could get inside.
He
of.
wouldn't be able to fit into the pool area either. So you could just
Right.
hide in there. And
I'd imagine
be
him
able
trying to
hit you.
squeeze through the hole up there.
Just
wouldn't be
teleport
able to
into
hurt
the
you.
pool.
He
I
would
think New
too.
York would be a better map if the controls weren't taken out of my hands
Yeah.
more than
Yeah.
half the time between freezes and all the different concussive blasts of all the weapons. If I can control my car, like
Yeah,
the majority of the
that's
time,
true.
I'd probably enjoy the map a lot more.
So what you're saying is if TM2 was actually a good game, New York would be a good.
Right. If the map was in any other game, I'd love it.
Yeah,
I think
I like-
my feeling about TM2 is I
That's
love
how I
the game when I'm not playing it. You put that
yeah,
control in
I've
my
seen a lot of
hand,
people
I
say
hate it.
that actually.
I like
I've seen a
watching
lot
other
of
people
say it.
suffer with it.
Yeah, that's what I've seen. I've seen comments about that. Like they say they like to watch it, but they hate to play
Yeah.
it.
And it's like, why do you like the
It's
game?
It's interesting.
Yeah,
Like
it is
the world, the
interesting.
story, the characters are all outstanding. I'll give it credit for what it does in that aspect, but the actual playing of the video game, terrible. I hate it so much.
Twisted Metal 2 is just the Dark Souls of car combat.
Yeah, the IGN review. Yeah,
Yeah, the idea.
I think Paris is another decent map as well.
Oh yeah, it's by
Paris
far
is-
one
Yeah,
of the
I-
best
I-
ones
I-
in the map.
yeah. It's got the
It's-
battlefield evolution in there
Mhm.
Yeah.
Levolution.
with the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, but it's like I like it. It's big enough to where it's not taking forever, but it's just small enough where the action just keeps happening. And
Yeah.
the fact that midway through like the level or whenever throughout the level, there's you can blow up the Eiffel Tower and open up the rooftops a little bit more. And I just like the fact that even if you blow up the Eiffel Tower, you can kind of be a little strategic with it, where you blow it up, and if there's anybody else up there other than you, then it just takes away a good chunk of their health. Like
Right.
it's stuff like
Yeah.
that you can strategize playing the game is something I appreciate. And on top of, changing the level itself. I mean, kind of the same reason why, Antarctica is pretty awesome because again, it's changing constantly. Although with Paris, you're forcing that change instead of it just happening in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's the thing. It's like you being able to create the destruction is definitely like the pivotal part of that map.
Hmm.
Yeah, I
Or
mean,
create
I felt
the new location.
yeah, I felt like all the maps in this were really good, especially being able to change them, the interactivity, change the level layouts, and it felt like you did this.
Yeah.
Really had a really good immersion into this particular version of Twisted Metal. I felt the levels were a little bit too big at times, but the way the AI acts, they close in pretty quickly, so maybe not. But yeah, I mean, I thought that this was one of the shining moments of Twisted Metal 2, along with No Kill Me Kong going with the energy system for special moves. I
Yeah.
felt were
Yeah.
I felt were
I
the two
mean,
things that
if it
made
was
this.
implemented properly, yeah, I think it would
Yeah.
be fine.
Yeah.
If they actually worked. But
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of that, from what I've been told, because I made a video recently on TM2, and a lot of people told me in the comments, they said if you play TM2 on regular hardware, like on a PS1 or on a backwards compatible PS3 or whatever, the control or the special abilities work every time, like no matter how fast you input them. But
I
if
got
you're
I
playing on
got the
an,
disc. I
you
have
have
the
the
disc of
disc,
the game, and I got my PlayStation 3. Yeah, I do.
and it's the
I have
same
the
thing.
disc. I gotta no. I should try it. I'm
Oh,
pretty. All
okay.
PS3s can play PlayStation 1 games, right?
It has
It
to
can,
be
and
like the
I've tried
fat,
it. It
like
does not work.
original backwards compatibility one.
Fuck. Well, I mean, I don't
Yeah.
have that. I
I
have the
still
disc though.
I still
Okay.
got my
Every PS3 is
PS2.
backwards compatible with PS1. So
I thought they
you
all
can pop
were.
it in. Yeah, they
I
all
thought it
were.
was
Not PS2. It's only PS1.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, not PS2 because it's on the
Yeah,
PS.
I have the
N
disc. I've
store,
popped it
though.
in. I've tried it. It's terrible. It sucks.
So even on the disc version, Drew, it does not work no matter how fast you do it. It's just like
Right. And I don't think it's a registering problem. I think it's because you're steering your fucking car at the same time.
That
okay.
So
too,
like
yeah.
you're just putting like random inputs in the middle of your
Well, then
special
the 17
code.
people that commented saying I was wrong and that it's the emulator's fault, you're an idiot. So
It might
Oh
not
my
help.
God.
I mean, the
It's
emulator is
coping.
probably hurting the situation, but I think
Is it?
regardless
Yeah.
of what's going on, it's going to be hard to input the codes because you're also steering
mean,
your car.
regardless, it doesn't matter because it's still going to be running the same frame rate anyways.
it might. Well, it
Yeah.
might also be
Right.
because like
Input lag.
they.
but, like,
Well, they
maybe?
probably
Maybe.
purposely added an input lag into it so you're not accidentally doing special abilities all the fucking time when you're trying just to turn.
Yeah, but honestly, Twisted Metal 3, it's mostly Twisted Metal 4 did that right, where
Yeah.
they made it tight enough where you're not accidentally, jumping or doing certain things. Like Twisted Metal, like for some reason, Twisted Metal 2 and Twisted Metal Black, I am always accidentally like using like energy attacks, and I'm like, what the fuck? I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
I had that happen
Because
in
I
Black
think in
Red
TM
Shield,
3
by
and
accident.
4 you have to do it really fast, right?
Yeah, you have to, and so if you're not, then it's not going to work. But like, yeah, you have to do
Yeah.
it fast enough, and where it's, depending on who you ask, like, yeah, it might be a little bit tougher. But the fact that it's such like a tight like input,
Mhm.
like window where you're not accidentally doing certain abilities all the time.
Right.
Like, imagine how annoying it'd be if you were doing up, up, out, down, down accidentally all the fucking time in Twist Metal 4. That would just throw you off completely.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's why I definitely prefer how they did it in 3 and 4 with the faster button inputs because it just, in my mind, it's like if I'm regularly playing the game, I'm probably not pressing the buttons that fast if I'm just going left and right for controlling my car. But
Yeah.
if I want to, let's say, do a freeze attack, now in my mind, I know I got to go up, left, or whatever it is, right? Left, right, up, like really quickly. Like,
Yeah.
I know I want to do that and it works every time. Where
Yeah.
in TM2, you have to purposely slow down your mind because you have to do it slowly. So it's like,
Yeah.
now I have to stop what I'm doing in the mid of battle and put all my focus into doing this button input, left, right, up, or whatever it is, up, right, I can't remember, really slowly to then hope that it activates and then shoots out in front of you. And what Drew was saying in the last episode on TM1 with the special abilities is like, then you could run into an issue where, well, in the moment I needed to use a freeze, but because it took so long to input and it didn't register right away, now the freeze misses completely because it didn't come out when I needed to.
Yeah. especially Twisted Metal 2 being such a faster, gameplay loop
Yeah.
compared to Twisted Metal
Yeah,
1.
well,
I think,
that game
like
plays
it's
a lot faster
way
than
faster.
3 and 4 as well. Or
Mhm.
maybe not 4, but it plays faster than 3 does.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, 3 was
Yeah, it
way
does.
slowed down.
I
Yeah.
feel like the most egregious part of the special commands is the jump being a 3-button combo. When you're jumping, you're essentially platforming in your car. Like timing is everything.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you have to there's like an extra layer of timing. Like imagine playing Mario, but like to jump, you had to like input a fucking combo.
Left,
You
right,
would
up,
never
X,
get through
R.
the game.
Yeah.
WBA.
It's so clunky, and I don't see why you couldn't have done the L1 R1 like
Oh,
them together.
Mhm.
The
Like, that
R1
could have been
L1
there
was
from the beginning,
godsend.
but it,
Yeah.
it was until Twisted Metal Black that we even got that to be the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We saw with Small Brawl, it was possible then. That's PS1. Why couldn't it have been done at any point in history before that?
It was
It's
a
bonkers.
design choice. That's the only reason why. But yeah, that's a good observation. Like any movement based ability should really just be part of the main controls and not a special
Yeah.
combo. Especially when you can screw up so easily across rooftops.
Yeah.
The
Like,
one
the
thing
freeze,
or
fine.
argument
Shield,
I will
fine.
say for why I think they didn't do L1 R1 together, or why I would assume they didn't do it right away, was because, and I've only witnessed this in Small Brawl. I don't know if I've had it happen too often in Black, but if you do L1 R1 together, sometimes the game will register that you're switching weapons, even if you're hitting them at the exact same time. And that can be frustrating because like you can be jumping onto a platform, let's say you have a power missile ready to go. You're trying to jump up to a platform to shoot this guy in front of you. You do the jump registers, but for some reason it still switches your weapon now to a different thing, and you gotta go through the carousel to figure out like where it is. And I've had that
I
happen
still
many
think that's
times.
less frustrating than how it works.
Oh, I agree.
regular.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. But I'm thinking, I wonder if that was their mindset of like, we don't want to have to risk like the detriment of the player, like getting frustrated by switching their. I mean, they didn't give a shit about making the player frustrated with anything else, but you never know. Maybe that was the one thing they were like, nope, we got to put our foot down on this.
You're probably right. I mean, I think Goodrich, he's right as a design choice. They chose to make it that way when they could have made it easier.
Yeah.
So there has to be some reason that they decided that was better.
I think it was just legacy design. It was originally implemented in earlier versions and no one thought to change it. So they just kept, they're just like, oh, it worked in the previous version. We'll just keep it in this one. Until some new designer came along and said, this is frustrating. Can we change this? Is usually the way that those things go.
Right. Another thing I will say with TM2, that is a positive, is they added a lot more content to the game compared to the first. So they added, not only did they add more levels, there's 9 levels in the tournament, and there's 3 bonus stages if you play co-op or the multiplayer challenge mode. And in that mode, not only do you not only have to do 1v1s, you can go against CPUs now, but you can choose so many levels compared to the first game. And they also added regular challenge mode for single player, so you don't have to just do tournament. You can choose whatever level you want, go against the enemies that you want, and all the above. It was a lot of extra added gameplay that just added to the replayability that I think was a really nice and added thing. Also, co-op tournament was a huge plus. So now you could choose a friend, split screen, and go through the whole game together with a friend, which I think was really cool. And me and my brother used to play it all the time. I do remember that growing up. But
yeah, me too.
So that was definitely an added thing. But and then 2 bosses as well this time around instead of just 1 boss.
And new characters too.
Yeah, that's right. Yep,
Yes.
and a completely new roster. I mean, they brought back some favorites from TM1, but they brought in a lot of new characters too, which were a great asset to the roster. And I will say, I think TM2 has one of the best rosters in the series.
Oh, hands down.
It's solid
Yeah,
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't have pizza.
It's like-
in it.
Yeah, no pizza boys, so automatically it sucks.
Yeah, my only small gripe with Twisted Metal 2 is I wish it had Crimson Fury. That would have cemented
Yeah.
it probably the best for sure. But it's still good. It's really good.
Here's a
With the
question,
character selection.
Winters. Here's a hard question for you. Who would you
Okay.
get rid of to put Crimson Fury in their place?
Oh,
Grasshopper?
jeez. Yeah.
Oh,
That was
Hammerhead for sure.
That was
Well-
the first. My thought was either Grasshopper or Hammerhead.
Ooh.
To
Both suck.
just because Grasshopper story like ending wise, I think Grasshopper is like pretty interesting. That it's the daughter of Calypso, and
Yeah.
you have that ending. Like I thought I think that's probably the best part about Grasshopper is just playing as her kind of sucks.
Mm-hmm. I like her
But
design though, and like the special weapon's cool, but it just doesn't work that well.
it doesn't work that
it's like
well when Mr.
Twisted.
Slam is shooting fucking freezes, Twisters twisting, and and everybody else is just spam Spectre spamming his fucking missile and shit
Yeah.
like if the AI wasn't so egregious, like Grasshopper would probably be a little bit decent. Maybe if she was balanced a little bit better, but it's
Yeah.
You shouldn't take
yeah.
damage. Like yourself. It's similar to Twister. Like you shouldn't take extra damage while you're using your special. Like I've had moments with Twister where I use my special and I take more damage than my enemies do.
Right. And I
It
had
doesn't
that.
make any sense. Like it literally doesn't make sense.
You would have to be like still and hope to God like they don't hit you. Like you'd have to use like shield when you use the special, which kind
Well,
of
that's
booty.
the thing. Like I've had arguments with people about that where they'll tell me, "No, Twister's actually insanely good. You're just bad at the game. Like you need to learn how to use the shield at the right time and drop mines while they're in their tornado, and you also have to
Yeah,
shoot
but
napalms the whole time." And it's like, why should you have to learn all these extra combos and like random shit just to play a character
this
normally?
is not Mortal Kombat for fuck's sakes.
Yeah, that's a lot of extra footwork for just to make one special work. No one else has to
Right.
do that. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
why does this
Like-
character have to jump through hoops to do that? That's
Like-
ridiculous.
Like
Look at a good game
yeah.
like V8. Like the whammies are an extra thing to the game to do more damage. Like
Mhm.
you're not required to do that,
Right.
but it's like learning to do the combos is an additive to the gameplay, and it adds more depth to it. You shouldn't be required to utilize that just to make your character fucking work.
Yeah. It's just
One
like an
thing I've
added skill
noticed-
gap in a way, where like the
I don't get it.
what do you call it? The veteran players can learn something as they play to get to master it and to have more fun, while new players aren't at a disadvantage for not knowing it.
It's nice to have that depth. It definitely is good to have it, but you shouldn't be required to do it just to make the character usable.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. And what were you saying, Drew?
Oh, I kind of what you just said, where you want that depth to be there, but you don't want it to be, such a high skill gap that new players can't engage with that depth.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that the depth that people tend to talk about when they're praising, this game in Black, I don't think that depth was intended. I think that a lot of that stuff was like the game gives you enough tools to kind of play around with it, but I don't think that Jaffe was sitting around saying that, oh, Twister, she sucks, but you got to use mines. You got to use. I don't think he intended for any.
I
I
hope
think
not,
that
at
just
least.
something people figured out.
Yeah.
I guarantee he did not.
Yeah.
It's the same with Twisted Metal Black, like online, like the people, like there's the Twisted Metal Black online Bible. There's a video on YouTube where it's like a 30-minute, like in-depth documentary on like how to break the game's code, so like to your advantage. And like the developers didn't intend any of that stuff, like dodging
No.
missiles and doing all this great. Like they didn't want you to dodge missiles. It's a homing missile. They want it to home in on you, and you have no choice but to take the damage. But they
Yeah.
found a way to
Arrow
break it.
shield, yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think that when people are praising this game for its depth, I don't think half of that depth was intended.
No. And I think a lot of it comes from copium, honestly. I think it's like,
Yeah.
oh, this actually is a problem, but I'm not going to say it's a problem because I can work past it and fix it by some type of exploit. It's like, well, yeah, you might have fixed it for yourself, but it's still a problem. Like, you can't hide behind that,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I was
There's
saying about
pride
the
in
controls.
overcoming.
So
Like it's
yeah.
the same thing. Like it's
Yeah.
just people get so used to the controls and they play it so much and they get adapted to these controls from playing it, and then they'll get mad at Twisted Metal 3 for having terrible controls and whatever, which it does have terrible controls. But if you play Twisted Metal 3 enough, you can mitigate
master
the
it.
flipping over.
Yeah.
It won't happen to you as often.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't mean the controls are good just because you mastered it. Like good controls should be instant. Second
Yeah.
you turn the game on, the second you play it, you should be like, oh, the game's controls are good. You should just
Mhm.
know instantly. You shouldn't have to play
Yeah.
it for 20 hours to just be able to fucking drive around a corner.
Right.
Like it's absurd.
So, Nick, when you're asking me about which character would I remove, I kind of would ask everybody like what their special or what their favorite character is in the game to play as.
Oh,
Instagram.
good, yeah, good question.
Yeah,
Kong, what's yours?
Yeah, Kong. Yeah, Kong.
It's Mr. Grimm. He's the best in this game.
Is
for
he?
Sure. This
He's the
Mr.
best?
Grimm's the best. I think this Mr. Grimm's the best one. Yeah, he's fucking crazy. He's a monster in this game.
I have to play him more because honestly, I
Special
always thought he
does
wasn't
like
that great.
50% of someone's health.
Oh, okay.
Like you can start a level just if your freeze actually works.
Yeah.
You can shoot both the specials you get and kill someone instantly. Right? It's the second level starts. It's really nice. He's really strong in this game.
I would probably like. This is hard, man, because I don't. You guys know, like, I don't play TM2 enough to really say like a favorite. Like, I have a favorite in terms of design, and then I guess a favorite in terms of like playing as. I mean, they all have their own issues, but I would say maybe Spectre, just because I like the design of the car. I've always loved his special weapon, speed. I think he has relatively the best handling in the game for, you know, as good a handling as it can get in TM2. So I go with Spectre. I'd say in terms of design though, I mean, I love Twister, man. I love Twister's design of the car. I love the special weapon. It's such a shame that the special just doesn't work that well. What about you, Drew?
I think the answer is easy, really easy, and I'm surprised no one said it. It's Axel. Axel's the best by far.
Well,
No
he's
question.
the best character.
He's
yeah.
broken.
I think he's
really
the best
good.
normal
Yeah,
character. He's really.
He's
Yeah.
the best. He's my favorite. I love Axel Power. Like, if
Yeah.
there's one character I want to get spammed by, it's Axel.
Axel.
I love hearing that. Axel Power.
Did you
Like
hear
it.
him on the PC version? It does not end. He uses his special like 20 times. In a
Oh, I
game.
would love that. Fucking rock me to sleep with that shit, dude.
That should be your text
I would rather
message
hear that than
notification.
fucking Sweet Tooth's laugh.
Yeah, for real, dude. Oh my god, this game legitimately made me hate Sweet Tooth. Like, I did not like. I hate him more than I hate him in TM4, and that's really saying something.
Yeah, he just will not shut the fuck up. Like he makes more. He laughs more than the henchmen do in Twismo 4.
Yep.
Yeah.
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 Speaking of which, Goodrich, which character is your favorite in this game?
Oh, I used to like Spectre, but
Ooh.
Mr. Slam.
Hey.
I liked playing Mr. Slam in this. I could never get his special to connect though, which was really frustrating. That was actually one of the reasons why I changed that in Small Brawl to give it an AoE. But I like playing the big construction vehicles. I like ramming into people and then being able to pick them up and then throw them where I want to throw them. That kind of crowd control. So he was always one of my favorites in these games. I never liked Axel that much. He's OP, but the fact that a bullet between the eyes would end his tournament run, like it always thematically bugged me.
Nah, just put a helmet on him. He's fine.
Yeah.
Just put a bulletproof helmet and a
Like
flak
an army
jacket and you're
helmet.
good.
Damn.
I think an honorable mention for me would be Outlaw 2. I really.
Yeah.
I think she's like fun to drive. I think her handling's pretty good. And her special weapon is like, you don't need to be good at all to use her. Like, just be near somebody, it tases them, then you can drive as far away as you want, and it still completes the tase.
Yeah.
And I think that's always been like a pretty like go-to for me, Spectre, Outlaw.
Yeah.
Shadow's good too.
Yeah,
I would
Shadow's
wanna ask you
broken
guys-
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shadow's really, really good in that game.
Like, with this game, the emphasis on story and world building and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So gameplay aside, which ending was your favorite?
Damn, I didn't get to my favorite
Ooh.
card, man.
Oh, it's a
Oh, you
roadkill.
didn't answer. Okay, Winters, please tell me.
Yeah, and I'll get to the ending part. I'll transition over it.
Yeah.
So
Double dip.
Mr. Grimm's my favorite for sure, just because it's a rewarding special. Yeah, he's a glass cannon, and for how the physics are in this game, it just seems like he's the most tolerable to drive as.
Yeah.
And kind of like with you, Nick, Outlaw is like a close second for me. Like Outlaw, easy
yeah.
to use. You can do some easy hit and runs, and it's not a pain in the ass to control the car.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's especially on hard mode, because that's kind of what I'm thinking is that with Mr. Grimm or Outlaw, it's easy to get away from the AI who likes to fucking bumfuck you without any lube.
Right.
And so it's nice to be able to get away, drive, pick up weapons as fast as you can and just get back to the action without taking too much damage.
Yeah.
So speaking of which, endings, I still think Sweet Tooth's ending is fucking stupid.
I agree.
Honestly, Twisted Metal 1's ending, if it was actually released, it would be better than this fucking garbage.
Yeah. I agree.
But I think my favorite ending, fuck.
There's a lot of good ones.
There's some. Axel is kind of probably the easy answer. I think just because it's you know it's like you know
badass.
yeah it's so badass that he gets the courage to rip his arms out of the fucking machine. Um. Shit, dude. Sorry, I'm just like looking through it.
You're just gonna go with Axel? I mean, that's a good
Uh,
answer.
Yeah, Axel's pretty good. Like so Mr. Grimm's my favorite, but the problem is like he's like I want more souls, and I'm like it's so stupid. It's like so dumb compared to Twisted Metal 1.
I want
Like,
your
like
soul.
yeah, like Twisted Metal 1, like it's fucking personal. He's like I want you. It's like Calypso's like freaking the fuck out. This one
Yeah.
like if Twisted Metal 1's Grimm's ending was in Twisted Metal 2, I would love this would be the best Mr. Grimm ever for me.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think Hammerhead's pretty good. Just we want to fly. It's like, oh, well, you forgot your fucking airplane tickets and you just fucking fall down.
I like the joke on that one for sure.
Yeah, I'll go with Mike and Stu. I'll be a little lighthearted.
Hell yeah. I would probably say for mine
yeah.
it'd be Shadow. I like that Calypso gets like sent flying into the sky and then he ends up like on the side of the airplane looking through the window scaring that kid for life. That image is burned in my mind forever.
Oh, Shadow's ending is iconic for sure.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite one.
I know what Kong's is.
Oh, it's Kong's.
For sure, Roadkill, 100%.
Yep. It's
Roadkills?
definitely Roadkill for
Wait,
sure.
why?
Absolutely, because it's like out of every story I've ever read in my life, like I've never watched something that truly awestruck me like that one did. Like the amount of depth that one gives to you, it's like just fuck everything in the world. Like just watch that ending, and you will truly have the best story experience in history.
I can't tell if you're being serious or if you're mocking it.
It's the best ending of all time. Who would disagree?
He's right. Yeah.
Okay.
I've
the
spent
amount of
hours
holy
trying to
shit.
like come up with a way it's not the best, and I can't. I'm struck. I can't.
To be honest,
Yep.
I don't remember Roadkill. Is that like when he wakes up from amnesia or whatever? It's like all in his head.
Yeah. It's
He
a
confronts
lazy ass.
Calypso
shitty-
saying, "Hey, I want to get out of this fake world. I'm in a video game. Get me out, Calypso."
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I agree with you, Kong. Like in your sarcasm, because I remember.
It's the best ending of all time.
I remember even
Yeah.
as a kid,
Citizen's
I was like, "This
Kane.
is stupid." Like what?
You got me watching
All
it.
those movies.
You
Forget
got
those
me
movies.
watching it.
Yep.
Goodrich, what's your favorite ending?
You took my Mike and Stu one was taken already.
Damn it.
There's a couple other good ones in here. Outlaws is kind of funny. Like police car in outer space rescue your partner.
Yeah.
The police car has jet engines on the back of it as they rocket back to Earth in a regular police car. It's
It's
just
badass.
it's so good and so bad at the same time.
It
I'm
is
also
good.
enjoying Twister going back. Like I always liked hers, where she's like she wants to go so fast. She's going back into like pirate times and old west
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
time travel. I don't know if
Crushed
time
by a
travel.
dinosaur.
Yeah.
I
Like those are all pretty good and creative. They're very funny. Like I enjoy most of the endings in this. I thought were pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Slams too was pretty funny. I
Mr.
Oh, yeah.
Slams didn't resonate with me very much. It's just like tall building and he stands on the edge and then falls off. It's like, yeah, I kind of
Yeah.
saw that one coming.
Anticlimactic.
Yeah, but I want to go fast and then I'm back in Jurassic times and a dinosaur steps on me is kind of funny.
Yeah, for sure.
What about you,
Yeah,
Drew?
Roadkill's definitely good.
I'm
Yeah.
of the mind. I mean, it Axel's the best. I think objectively, I think it's an actual story. You care about the character.
Yeah,
Just
that's fair.
like he, I like the fact that he could have ripped his arms free from the machine the whole time.
At
It was
any
just him
point,
building up the
Yeah.
courage to confront his father.
I had
Who
to murder
abused him
20
throughout his
people.
life.
Now I can do this.
So I like that it wasn't about the physical ability. It was about like the mental courage to do it. So that really resonated with me. But
Mhm.
that's an easy answer. I think Warthog is really one we haven't talked about, but I do
The
enjoy
small
that
head
one.
on the big
Oh,
body.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah. Oh, you want to be a 20-year-old? Okay, come back later for the head. It's
Yeah, that
it's
sounds good.
iconic. I love all the endings in this game that they're memorable.
Mhm.
I don't think there's one that
Yeah.
really slips under the. I mean, maybe Thumper is one that people forget about, but
Yeah,
just
Thumper's
about
is kinda
every
bad.
other is pretty memorable. Like
Yeah.
Spectre with his face getting stretched across the sky.
That one's
Mike and Stu,
hilarious.
of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
That
Would
one's
you like
fun.
to be seen across the world? Your wish
And
is
plus, just
granted.
Mel just sells it.
Oh yeah,
Well.
Mel killed it with the role. You could tell he loved it.
I think Minion, Sweet Tooth, and Thumper are probably the three that are bad. Everything
Yeah.
else is pretty great.
I forgot
Yeah.
what Sweet Tooth is in this one.
He wants
Yeah,
to be
see,
a
a
wants to
bug
be a
caterpillar.
Yeah, he wants to be a bug in a garden.
So
to kill
stupid.
more. I
That's
guess.
really dumb.
It's
It doesn't
weird.
And
make
then-
any
Well,
sense.
that's right.
It doesn't even make any sense. Like, especially him being a psychopathic fucking, murderer, clown, whatever. It's just like, you want
Well,
to be
to
a
be
fucking
fair, in TM2 and even TM1, he wasn't a murderer yet. I mean, clearly he is because he's in the TM contest, but that wasn't like his background. He was meant
Well,
to just
well,
be an insane clown. That's all he was.
Yeah, he was. I would say insane clown, but at least the fucking paper bag is way better, man.
Yeah, I
I think
definitely
in
agree.
Yeah,
TM2 he was murderous. I think they did establish that
What?
because they said
They
his
tried to
bio
break the
says-
fourth wall. They tried to
He
break.
says,
the
my
fourth
first
wall
home
in
was
his
the
bio.
circus. My second one was the State Institute. My next home will be yours. I will be
Oh.
the man who hides under your bed, in your closet, in your mind. When I win, you'll never be too far from me. That's his bio.
Why didn't they go with that in the ending though? Why all of a sudden?
Yeah, they could have
he,
made-
he hates the world. I want to be a bug. I
Too
want to be.
mature. Must make it PG.
Yeah, they
Maybe.
could have had it like, I don't know, like they were trying to break the fourth wall anyways. They could have had the ending do that too.
That'd have been
Break
cool.
the fourth wall.
I don't like that Calypso in the ending is like, oh, and he longs to be back into the world of the humans or something along those lines.
Like he'll
don't
grow
be a
up one
bug.
day. Yeah, that'd be
Like, why
where
would
he
you wish to be a
comes
bug
from.
if you want to come back?
Bug
Yeah.
off.
Bug off.
Yeah, bug off. Yeah.
And that also kind of brings up another thing too. Is like, why was Sweet Tooth put behind a passcode? Like he's not even good. Like he's not like
I-
boss
I
Something
level.
good.
I
Yeah, it's not
think
like
he was a-
Minion.
It seemed like he was a last minute character, I think, because in the
does.
beta version he's not in the game. You need
Right.
to use a Game Shark code to play as him.
Mhm.
You can't, he's not
Really?
even in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not there. I don't even think you fight him.
Yeah.
So I think he may have been a last minute character. I don't know.
Yeah, it could have been. They always asked us to hold a couple of characters and then have passcodes for them for magazines. So when they'd review it, we'd
Oh,
be like,
yes.
here's the passcode. You want to give us a slightly better rating now? Like that was generally the way that happened. So he could have been a
Oh.
full-fledged character, but they just password locked him to get magazine reviews on Twisted Metal 2.
Could have been.
See, he would have had to been planned at like pretty because if he has a cutscene at the end,
Yeah,
You-
he couldn't
like,
have been
that
last
takes
Yeah,
some-
minute.
maybe.
some
But
foresight,
they just
yeah.
reused his model from Twisted Metal 1. It's the same model, so
right?
Yeah. Minion.
But the
Apparently,
animators for
Minion,
the ending.
Sweet Tooth, and I had it written down here. Unlike other returning vehicles, Sweet Tooth and Minion entirely reused their model and texture from Twist Metal 1. They're the only characters that
Oh.
did that. Everybody else is remade.
Oh, I feel like Spectre and Thumper is the same models. They just have a slightly different paint job. Like I think Spectre
Yeah, they're
gets
a
the
little bit brighter.
stripe, and
Yeah.
then Thumper gets like a white roof instead of a pink roof.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a little different, but for some reason, yeah, Sweet Tooth and Minion were the exact same like strip models. And
because
then
I know that
maybe that's why
Minion
they're
wasn't
unlockable.
originally the halfway point boss. I know it was supposed to be Darkseid.
that's right.
Really?
It was me, Granny Dread, driving Darkseid.
Yeah, Granny Dread or Granny. I don't know what the fuck her name was. It was something like that.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. Granny Dark, I think, is what her name was.
As much as I would have loved to see Darkseid return, like I'm glad it wasn't Granny Dread driving Darkseid. I just think that would have been too out of place for TM2. I don't know.
But
Yeah,
you
I
can't
mean,
establish like being the literal devil in the semi truck in the
Yeah.
first game, and then like
Yeah.
okay, now there's just an old lady with a shotgun. It's just it's such a jarring change.
It would have been way too much of like a 180 or like a whiplash. Like, this doesn't make sense. It's not Darkseid, you
Mhm.
know.
I
But-
wonder why that was changed though. Like maybe they just didn't think it fit the game.
Probably,
I don't
or
know.
they just wanted to bring Minion back because everyone loved Minion from TM1.
But you could do both. There's no reason you couldn't do both.
Have
Yeah.
Minion and Darkseid as the same fight.
Well, not
Just
as a
have them both in the
boss,
game.
but like Darkseid can just be in the game.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they could have brought him back as a regular character.
Because it definitely
Yeah.
was planned, even in like in the opening intro sequence, like we were going through like that road to the logo.
Yeah, you can see Darkseid.
Oh,
Darkseid's
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is weird that they didn't bring him back, at least as a playable character. It would have been nice,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it is what it is.
Speaking
I
speaking of characters,
Yeah.
Darktooth.
yeah, I was gonna say, like, what do we think of the bosses?
The best. I think it's the best final boss or the best boss in the series. Honestly,
Really?
Darktooth.
Darktooth?
I do. Even though I fucking hate Twisted Metal 2, Darktooth is the best. I think. I think just the sheer intimidation that character gives off is just.
That's fair.
No other characters compare to it.
Yeah.
I can't get over how wacky they are when they like just go around a corner. They look ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like a building on wheels. It's crazy, but
It's so huge.
I think it scares the shit out of you. It's like a
It
first time
works.
player. He's like he's
Yeah,
fucking huge. He's like compared to
Yeah.
everything else
Like-
in the game. It's like it's crazy.
They make
Yeah.
they definitely make good use of scale as far as that goes. I remember seeing him the first time and I was just like, oh, they scaled up Sweet Tooth and changed the color of his spots. How disappointing. That was my reaction to it. It was just like, you couldn't make a new model. But
Nope.
then again, I get why. Like, we do that all the time. It's just like,
Yeah, they made
reuse
a
a
model
model,
for the head.
change the texture.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they changed the head around. Yeah,
Yeah, they changed the head. That's all the important part.
and I also like the ricochet that I think that's one of the only bosses that has its own like unique weapon like that.
Yeah.
It's like skinned for them specifically. If you look at it, it's just like a dark tooth head on the ricochet, and it looks
like a
really nice.
marble.
It's cool. Yeah, and they're giant.
And I think it works well for Hong Kong as well, because there's been a number of times where I try to take shelter in the subway
Mm-hmm.
with those goddamn ricochets. Just he throws a million of them in there. And I have no choice.
Yeah, you can't
So I
hide.
think
Yeah.
it
I guess
works
it
very
makes
well
sense,
for that.
yeah,
level.
because you could just camp in there, I suppose, and like shoot out of it at him or something.
He can't
Yeah.
fit. So.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
so
it
you
makes
just shoot
sense why they did
infinite
that.
amounts down there.
And then like my only issue with Darktooth though, I don't like that he has the second evolution of like just the head. If they would have cut that out and it would have just been the battle with Darktooth, that would have been good enough for me. Like that would have been so much better.
Well, you wouldn't have
Yeah.
the text prompt for a shriveled old man, so
Yeah.
I mean, they
Yeah.
could have done that
Miss out on that.
before. Like with the
They
when
definitely could've.
Darktooth comes out, it'd be like the shriveled old man, you could see like popping his head out the window. You know, they could have done that, but I don't know. Like just having the head by itself was such a added like it just like oh
Yeah.
fuck you. Like I
It was
just
just supposed to
killed
be
him.
like
Why
a
am I
goof
doing this
moment,
now?
like, oh, he's not
Yeah.
actually dead yet. Like it's supposed to.
LOL JK, fight him one more time, fam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then that was just Jaffe's precursor to Iron Maiden, and then fucking
Yeah.
whatever the
it's just
carnival of sickness was or whatever.
un-
it
unneeded
works the first
bullshit.
time. The head, like it is shocking. Like, oh wow, I thought I was done. But after that, the novelty wears off very quickly.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like Warhawk.
Yeah.
It's fine the first time you fight him, and then when you keep fighting Warhawk over and over again, it's like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. It's annoying.
Nope.
Yeah.
It's the same way I feel about that fight.
I've gotten so used to
Well-
Warhawk, I can literally beat him in under like a minute.
Yeah.
I want to see you do that. That sounds insane.
I watch any of my upcoming Twisted Metal Black playthroughs because it's like I maybe cut out maybe 10 seconds of each my fights with Warhawk, but it's literally like a minute or two with every character because it's just
I'm gonna watch that.
it just
I wanna see
you
the skill.
jump
Do
in,
like a
you wait
speed
for
run.
the fucking tanker, you blow the tanker up, he flies over you, blow up the tanker.
Yep.
That's one level. You do that 2 more times. Now he doesn't have a shield, and then you run up, you sit in the middle, he lands on top of you, and you just shoot the spikes in front of you, and he dies. Like it's
Interesting.
Yeah.
it takes like
yeah,
a
because
minute.
if you get the right angle, he can't even hit you either.
No.
Yeah,
it's
That
and
was
kind
saving
of
me so much trouble.
yeah. And you can, and the
Yeah.
cool thing too is he gets so low, you can use any special in the game at that point. I use Dark Side, like just ram him and he dies immediately, or like you can use even Preacher's Repent thing. It's wild.
Does it work on Darkseid? Where does the little guy go?
What with the Repent?
The little
You mean
man.
Warhawk?
Yeah.
He disappears.
Yeah,
Like
what
you
does he
throw him
grab
into
onto?
it and he disappears,
Quest
but
launch from
you hear him
from
go
Brimstone?
Repent and then he blows up.
Oh my god.
So yeah, it works.
My God. Well, speaking of bosses, I mean, how do we feel about Minion being the mid tournament boss in Twisted Metal 2?
I think he's fine. I don't
Cool.
have any issues with him.
Like,
And I
like
think-
he actually has like his own special, I think, right? Just 'cause it's not the same as Warthogs with the extra freeze.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
It does more
That's
damage.
all
Is
it
it-
is.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's all. That's all it is. I mean, people say that Twisted Metal 2 Minion's harder than Twisted Metal 1, and for that, you're a chump.
Yeah.
It's not. Like
Yeah.
Twisted Metal 1 Minion is much harder than Twisted Metal 2.
Yeah.
Because minions aren't even that hard. Like you can exploit them if you want to. You can go inside the little statue tunnel and just sit there and shoot him, and he won't
Mhm.
attack you. Or even still, the level is so wide open, it's not really that difficult to kill him.
Yeah. And I like that like I'm not a huge fan of Amazonia, the map, but I think it works great for a boss battle. Because it's just a big
Yeah,
circle.
It's the best
Cool,
map
Mike.
in the game.
It's the best map in the
Serious.
series.
What? Huh?
Yeah, the series, not just
Oh
not
my
just,
God.
not just the game.
Yeah, the
This
entire
is all in my
series.
mind.
It's the best map in the series, by the way.
My
But,
God.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, I think it's fine for the boss battle. I think he's still intimidating as fuck because it's literally just a carbon copy of the TM1 minion, and he was, intimidating as hell in that game. And he's still got a strong special. He's still strong armored. His AI feels about the same. And I don't think
Yeah.
he's like overly powerful or like overly, like, what's the word? Like I think he is a boss that even newcomers can defeat on like a first try if they're smart. He doesn't. He's never been like too difficult for me to fight.
It feels balanced.
Yeah,
Definitely.
the balance, I guess, is the best way I can describe it. Like he definitely feels fair, whereas
Mhm.
Darktooth to me does not feel balanced at all.
it's kind of weird. Like napalms are good against him, and the best way to beat him is just to use rear mines.
Or just go in the little room and that he
Yeah.
can't get into, and he keeps driving past you, and you shoot at him.
That too, yeah. But I always just use the mines when I fight him because
Yeah,
he just drives over them and kills himself.
what an idiot! The thing
Yeah.
he won last year's contest.
Yeah, I know. I like the fact that he lost the tournament in the first game, and now he's been demoted to mid boss
Yep.
for the
he's
second one.
He's no longer the big baddie. And
Has anyone
since-
ever
wait,
gave
and
any
since,
thought
like,
to
Yellow
the bosses in the
Jacket-
games?
Wait,
What
what?
do you mean?
There. Like why is Minion under the thumb of Calypso? Like he wins the
Why is
tournament.
Cousin
and
Eddie
he-
a boss?
Yeah.
I
Why
don't
is
know.
he
It's
there?
like-
Why is anyone
I don't
anywhere?
even know.
Like
Doesn't make
Warhawk is the
sense.
only one that like has any like where it makes sense because they're not part of the tournament. They're just there to stop you.
Yeah, there's a cop or whatever.
That one makes
Where have they
sense.
been
but
the whole
everything
game?
else-
Why aren't they stopping the tournament?
They're
What are they
slow.
doing?
Coffee
Like-
break.
Have a bunch of Warhawks driving around killing everybody. Like I don't. Like, that's what they should be doing.
I don't know.
I don't know.
In Twist Metal 2 and Black, or I think 1, like they said Minion, hey, he won last year's tournament. That's why he's the boss. Does that mean if you win the tournament, you're next year's boss for
Yeah.
like
Maybe.
that? Why would you? I wouldn't. If I won the tournament, sorry, I'm done, fella. I got my wish.
I'm not
outta
working
here.
for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Minion is like working for him, but also kills him in his ending. So it's like I don't
It doesn't make
know.
sense.
It's just weird. Maybe you're just supposed to overlook it. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, you probably are. And that's why I was going to say, like, with Yellow Jacket, he's not in TM2, but his character is. He's
His character
driving
model is,
Darktooth.
too.
So is that, like, does that mean canonically Yellow Jacket won the first contest, and then he asked to be, the big baddie of Darktooth?
Yeah, that actually makes sense. He drank
Sounds
the
good
potion.
to
It
me,
tasted
baby.
like, and they became the Darktooth. Yeah.
But
Right.
how can Outlaw? How does that make sense if Outlaw didn't win?
Because
Dimensions, man.
fuck you. I don't know.
It's almost like
References.
Twisted Metal doesn't have a story. Like holy
It's
shit.
almost like it doesn't make sense. Oh,
I'm
God.
saying that
Oh,
as someone
God.
who just uploaded a video where I tried to like explain it in some way, and yet I'm still sitting here saying it's all garbage. Means nothing.
It is.
Yeah.
It's like Mortal Kombat.
It
Like,
is.
Someone wins their arcade ladder and they just get their ending. It's not meant to be taken seriously. There's no canonical winners. Like
Right. And based off
just
my
for
notes,
fun little theorizing.
yeah. And based on my notes here, we've gone over all the points I wanted to talk about. I did have some more fun facts that I got for TM2 as well, but I will say these aren't nearly as like interesting as the TM1 ones I got. One of them is in the promotional demonstration video included with the interactive CD sampler pack volume 3. I don't know what that is, but 2 unused beta names for the enemies can be seen. Deadhead was Hammerhead, and Bam Bam was Mr. Slam. Also, a beta Yellow Jacket is seen as a playable character.
What?
I mean, Yellow Jacket's model is in the game in Hong Kong. Those little taxis on the side
Yep.
of the road.
Yeah.
It's just
Ah,
his
that's,
model.
yeah, that's
so-
true.
I guess they removed Yellow Jacket because they realized they were going to use his character as Darktooth, and that wouldn't make sense.
hmm
But still a shame. I wish Yellow Jacket would have came back. Same with Darkseid.
Yeah, I like Yellow Jacket.
Early in its development, TM2 was proposed to be set in the future, I think we talked about this earlier. With floating
Yeah, we did.
futuristic vehicles instead of traditional wheeled ones, the idea never left the concept art stages, however, as it was believed the idea of programming hovering vehicles would be just too much and too difficult at the time. Which is
It
funny
was
because
even too difficult in
TM4,
2012.
well, right,
'Cause they suck.
and then TM4 they added
Flying
like
sense.
Quattro, which is basically just a vehicle, but it floats, but it drives like a vehicle.
Well, I don't think it's the same vein though. I think like there's technically wheels on it, but they're just invisible.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like that's
that's the same trick we did for Second Offense. Is we just the hover, not the pods, but like Dallas 13 who hovers. We just made his wheels invisible and put an effect there.
It's smart.
yeah.
I mean, it works, but
Jet
yeah.
Moto was right before TM2, right? Or around
Yes.
the same time.
And that's
Yeah.
like
Those are
floating
floating
vehicles.
cars.
Yeah.
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 So
Jet
I mean,
Moto
there's
was
a
also
way
made
they
by
could have done
99.
it to make it look futuristic without, they could have still felt like cars, where you wouldn't have elevation, like they couldn't go up and down or anything, and just made them look like they're floating. I mean, they could have done that, but maybe they wanted to go all the way and be like, we want them to be like airplanes, and then that just
Yeah,
obviously,
I
That'd
don't
be
know. I
terrible.
mean, maybe
Yeah.
they really wanted to like go all out with the hover cars, like because in Second Offense they have like there's you
Mhm.
could get a pickup or you can hover. Like I don't know if they wanted to make it like that.
I don't know.
Maybe.
sure.
I don't know. I know that there was a lot of talk around car culture and people really liking iconic cars,
Hmm.
and separating these out into something that's futuristic and unrelatable probably could have killed that concept.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah, because people like certain characters because they resemble a realistic car. Like Twisted Metal 3 Spectre resembles a real car, so
Right.
people like the car model because of that.
Well, I think everything in TM1 and 2 were, except for like the crazy ones like Sweet Tooth, but they're all based on real cars. There's like a
Mhm.
Firebird and the Corvette and the hearse
Yeah.
and stuff. Like
People
it's
like
cars you
that.
would see on the road.
Yeah, people
The
really
first
like
Fast
that.
and Furious. Okay. I was trying to see if
Yeah,
Fast and
that's-
Furious had any bearing on it. That was 2001 was the first one.
Mm.
He said car
Mm.
culture. That got me thinking of Fast and Furious.
Yeah, that was a big thing with V8 too. It was just like we want iconic looking cars, muscle cars that people can kind of like
Hmm.
relate to, and that was my first car and that's so cool. And once you start having them float and do weird things, you lose that connection
Yeah.
with the
Did
culture
people say
there.
that about Second Offense?
No, that was
Did that
just in
happen with
general
people?
about making car combat not cars.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you
Or
could
at
you could
least
make
not
a
like a carbon copy of a car.
yeah. I mean, you could have swapped everything with hover tanks, and people would be like, "What is this?"
Right.
I'm not sure it'd be as well received because it
That's
comes
why
with
I've-
expectations. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say like that's why like with Twisted Metal I've always liked that a lot of the cars feel like mixtures of cars together. Like they don't feel like one specific model of a vehicle I've seen on the road before. Like they feel just like
Mhm.
they're conjoined like 3 different models of cars, but I don't know, they just kind of work that way.
But
Yeah,
they
we
would
do.
still resemble like a real car you could theoretically see.
Right.
Which I think
Yeah,
goes a long way with people. Like if Mortal Kombat was all like weird alien life forms and like animals and stuff, like you wouldn't connect. You need something human to
Yeah.
like emotionally
Yeah.
connect to. So I think it works with Twisted Metal.
something
Yeah.
relatable that you're familiar with, but pushed into a fantastic world
Right.
Right.
is the type of stuff that works. But yeah, and I mean, part of the reason, like what Nick was talking about, is the reason these cars aren't exact is because then the car companies could sue us. We always
Oh,
had to go
100%.
in
Yeah.
and change 30% of the car's look in order to not
Yeah.
infringe upon copyright.
So then how this like Spectre throughout the games, I think almost the entire time has been like almost a 1-to-1 remake of like a Corvette or a Viper in Twisted Metal 3.
Yeah.
How'd they get away with that?
Well, I
'Cause
mean,
it's damn close.
They just did.
it's close, but not close enough. And a low poly model, you're gonna bring that into court and be like, "Hey, this 120 poly model is infringing upon our beautiful like car here." And it's just like a beautiful, realistic car. It's just not gonna fly. Like you would have to make
Death
it like
penalty.
pretty much.
Oh my god.
I think
You
the
would
big
have to look
machine guns is
identical.
enough for the 30%.
Yeah.
So, well,
Yeah,
the real
machine
one doesn't have
gun.
machine guns on it, so
Yeah, wheelbase, machine guns, how wide the car is, how tall the car is,
Mm.
the certain slopes on it, just adjusting some of that stuff. You can make it a nod to the car, you just can't make it exact.
Right.
I mean, I'm looking at Spectre and TM2, man. That thing looks
I mean, even Crimson
That's a
Fury
Corvette, man.
looks like a Lamborghini pretty close, but obviously it's like slimmer or like flatter. But
Yeah, you would have to be in like PS3, PS4 era of like really
Yeah.
good graphics that looks real like the car. It would have to have the same name, you know, where I think the chrome is, like every little detail, including like the name of the car, like how they put some of those chrome details with the name of the car on it. Stuff like that would all have to be present before you could actually be pretty actionable.
right.
So I've had people, I made a short about Spectre, every version of Spectre, and the game's description calls it a classic ride from 1965. Obviously, no Chevrolet or Corvette branding, but I just said 1965 because that's what the game says. And I would say 90% of the comments are, no, that's actually a 64 because it has a split back window. So it's close enough for like internet assholes to
For
jump
car
on this.
guys to be
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I can show my penis on this guy.
Some of the most annoying people on the planet are gun nerds and car
Yeah.
nerds.
Yeah.
I mean, like our cars at V8, we had a Mustang, but we called it a Palomino instead,
Yes.
a different type of
Palomino.
horse. You know, or
Palomino.
instead of a leprechaun, it's a gremlin. You know,
Yeah,
it's
that's like what they did in GTA.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's all to avoid copyright and also just paying them royalties. Like we don't want
Right.
to pay all these car dealerships the money that we want.
Hell no.
Yeah, because I know Forza does that. For that, like all those cars are like real car brands. So
Yeah. And the last tidbit I had on here for fun facts, I was actually surprised by this number. So lifetime sales, Twist Metal 2 sold 174 million copies in the U.S. alone.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Wait, 174 million?
Yeah, in just the
Mhm.
U.S.
No,
And
that
that was
doesn't seem
PS1,
right.
by the way. So that
That's-
was
that
unheard
seems
of.
a little.
That's what the fuck? That's more than Grand
That
Theft Auto
seems-
5.
Yeah.
What?
Wait, I
don't
think
so.
GTA 5 did way more
has to
than
be
that.
wrong.
Well, yeah.
You said 100 million?
No. 1.74 million.
Oh, 1.74.
God
Yeah.
damn.
I think you said 100 million before.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
My bad. No, I
Yeah,
misspoke.
you
I
did.
think
Sorry.
so. So I was gonna say, I'm pretty
1.74
sure the
million.
GTA 5 didn't even
Everybody
sell
loves
that
it.
Yeah.
We're just wrong.
Sorry.
Okay,
No.
1.74.
Yeah,
I
misspoke.
got you.
GTA 5 has sold 185 million copies.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
about
what I
to say,
figured. I
what
was
the
like,
fuck?
no way it's sold more than GTA 5. That doesn't make sense. It's been on like
Oh.
17 consoles. There ain't no way.
Yeah.
But no, like
The
even
best
but
version
but
of
for
Calypso ever.
PS1, like in 1996 this came out.
6, yeah.
Yeah,
Like
96,
1.74 million in the US alone. That's pretty good.
Yeah, compare
That
that.
puts it in front of games like Tekken, Medal of Honor, Need for Speed 3, Hot Pursuit, like legit games. Grand Theft Auto 2, it sold better than. That's
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah, I wonder how many PS1 units were out back then. If there's numbers on that.
In 96? Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Considering it's the first PlayStation too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, considering Sony controlled all of that, and we know through certain people that they were able to look at the competition ahead of time.
Yep.
They could very well place any of their titles to make sure that to ensure success. Let's put it that way.
Right.
Of course. Twist Metal
But-
Black has sold 950,000 copies.
No, it was more.
No,
than
it
that.
didn't crack 1 million.
That's
Nope.
that's what I read online. Yeah.
No, I don't think it ever cracked 1 million.
That's
Whoa.
insane.
I thought it
That
did
means
better
Twisted
than
Metal
that.
3 is a better game. That's what I'm talking about.
Nah,
Sold
people were
more.
using their PS2 as DVD players.
It's just depressing
Yep.
that 1.74 million people in the US had a really disappointing experience.
Well, I mean, for the time, I mean, I'm sure the game was like super cool for like. That's why I say like for 1996, the game is good. Like
Yeah.
for a
No,
game
it's not
that
a bad
released in
game.
1996. Like it's definitely like if you're looking in that time period,
Yeah.
like Twisted Metal 2 is not bad, but I think it's aged poorly.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
being one of the only games of its type during that time, with nothing to compare it to, and not really understanding what really good gameplay was,
Mhm.
it definitely shined in that particular arena.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why people have fond memories of it and playing it. Because at the time, what were you going to compare it to? Like
Yeah, nothing.
V8 wasn't out yet.
Yeah.
It's 2
I
years
mean, it
away.
can't-
Yeah, I'm surprised we were only 2 years behind them, considering how V8 looks compared to how Twisted Metal 2 looks.
Yeah. For real. It's
The
quite
V8 shocked
the
me how good
difference.
it looks.
Mm-hmm.
Like PS2 looks bad. It is not a good looking game,
Wait, PS2?
even for the time.
What?
No,
Twisted Metal
TM2.
2?
Oh, TM2.
TM2.
I thought you said PS2. I was like, what?
I might have. Yeah, no, I'm looking at the PS2 sales chart. I might have fucked up. I want to say how many. Black sold 1.12 million is what I see.
Because what I'm
Okay.
seeing here is 950,000.
Interesting.
Maybe
this is like
Drew's is
global
more
sales.
updated. Or yeah, it might be global sales versus US only.
Yeah, because this is
Yeah,
says
because
it's
I'm looking in
best-selling
US.
game on PS2.
I'm looking in the US and it's 950,000 and
Okay.
earned 31 million in the United States.
Wow.
Damn.
Damn.
That's what,
Because yeah, the
That's
1.74 million, that was just the US. So I don't even know what they got worldwide. So it's
probably
more
not
than that.
much. Twisted Metal is not popular anywhere else, really.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Really, in
doesn't sell
Mexico
well.
it is,
In South America, it actually is, believe it or not.
and Russia.
sure-
It's got a pretty big following.
In Asia, like I'm sure the Twisted Metal 2 like PC ports probably sold like 1,000 copies. Like I wouldn't
Probably.
even be shocked if it
if
was
they're
that low.
lucky, yeah.
7.
They
Yeah.
probably couldn't give them away in Asia.
I don't even get why they released it there.
Yeah.
Because it's an inferior version to the PlayStation 1 version. It's a shitty earlier build ported to PC. That
I was always
probably
told the
sold.
PC version was better.
It's terrible.
I mean-
No, it's bad.
It's similar to the beta, but it's earlier than that, and it
Wow.
has like some other problems.
Mm.
Like
It has some weird
Yeah.
changes to it. Like the shields last for like a year. They just do
Way
not
longer.
stop.
What the
yes,
fuck?
the game I
Don't
think
need to
looks better.
put the button
I kinda
combos
like
if it's always active.
Yeah.
I like the graphics on it on the PC version.
Yeah.
we should have
Same.
talked
It
about
looks
the PC
good.
version of Twisted Metal 1 because that actually has a lot of differences.
Yeah.
It's
That are
surprising Sony let a PC version go out. They were always console exclusive.
Yeah, in Asia
Yeah.
too.
Both.
if
Yeah.
anything.
Both TM1 and 2 had PC versions.
That's
It's just
really
in a
interesting.
Damn.
releasing in a region where people don't care about the series. Like no one
Mhm.
cares about Twisted Metal.
Yeah, back to your point about Russia and South America. They seem to love car combat in general. Like V8
They
is big
do.
in those two areas too.
Yeah.
There's
Which
all
is
those people. A lot
surprising.
of these people that make these mods, especially, are big fan. Like the person making the Crom's
TM3.
car combat game, he's Russian.
Yep. And the
Yeah.
TM3
It's the-
guy who made the mod for that, and he's making a mod for Small Brawl. He lives in Russia.
Yeah, like they like Twisted Metal over there, I guess.
Yeah.
Car
That's
combat
cool.
in general.
Yeah, whenever I live stream, I definitely get a lot of Spanish-speaking people coming
Really?
to my live stream.
I've had that
Yeah,
too.
thank
Russia.
God I'm slightly bilingual with Spanish because
Okay.
like even not just Spanish, even Portuguese. So definitely South America for sure.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, I know I've had a
I've
couple people
yeah.
from Brazil.
Yeah,
Yeah,
couple
for me, it's
Brazilians,
been
but-
Saudi people. I've had quite a few of them.
Yeah.
cool.
They like some Twisted Metal over there as well. So I mean, it's reached like everywhere in the world. I think just Asia is like the one place where they don't
Yeah.
care because they don't understand like that car like combat stuff. It just doesn't
Yeah.
make sense to them.
They don't
Like,
have
it's
that.
not-
they all take
It's not-
subways and bullet trains.
Exactly. They don't have that big car culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
and you can't put giant eyebrows on cars either, so
Right.
they're not gonna like it.
You could do
Yeah.
like some Herbie the Lug Bug shit, but if
Right.
you really wanted to, but I mean, I don't. If you really wanted to do some weird stuff,
Well, the question
Yeah.
of the hour I've been wanting to ask Kong is, what would you rate TM2 out of 10?
are we talking about like in modern times or for 1996?
I do both. Yeah.
For Twisted Metal in
For
general.
1996, for 1996, I would say I would probably give it like a solid 7 for the time.
Okay.
Like I think for the time it was honestly not a bad game at all. Like
Okay.
it did what it meant to do. It like there was nothing to compare it to. It was fun. It evolved a lot over the first game, but now like a solid fucking 2. Like this game aged like fucking milk.
Yeah. I would agree. 100%. What about you, winners?
There's just some things I like about it. There's some things I don't like about it. Fuck. It's if I'm it depends on how I'm feeling. If it's on a good day, I'd say it maybe a 7, but it's definitely a 6 for me. It's one of those games where I don't really go back to all that much because playing it just feels like a fucking chore. even worse than maybe Twisted Metal Black sometimes with the AI. If the physics were improved and some other things were improved, it would be great. But the levels are great. I think the specials are special enough in terms of like that they're different, compared to like every car has a different special, and all the characters really stand out. The stories are awesome.
Yeah.
But it's one of those games where it's really hard for me to go back to just because it's just like I cringe when I think about it. Although I will say my favorite part about Twisted Metal, why I give it a 6 and not a 2, is because we get Mel McCurran voicing Calypso in this one.
Oh, there you go. That's fair to give it extra points for that.
And I think it was really well done. Like it really fleshed out Calypso, that he's this madman who grants wishes, and
Yeah.
the VA the voice actor really did amazing in this iteration.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep, Mel's a beast.
Yeah, and then Goodrich, what about you? What do you think?
I'm gonna look at it through the lens of kind of like what Kong did. So for back in the day, what did I give Twisted Metal 1 and 8?
Yeah.
So for this one, I'm gonna take away a point for the shitty AI and the cheating, but I'm gonna give that point back with the level interactivity and the power meter special moves, because I thought that was an advancement forward. So this one's going to sit at an 8 for me for back in the day. Today, I would probably put it at about a 4, maybe a 4.5. In general, it's not a game I enjoy playing that often. Maybe just for nostalgia's sake, but that's about it.
Agreed, 100%.
Yeah.
And Drew.
Yeah. So like I said with Twisted Metal 1, I don't feel like I can judge this game fairly.
Mm-hmm.
So objectively speaking, it's not a good game in the grand scheme of history, or even just the PS1. There are much better games. But if I want to judge this game as fairly as possible, then I would judge it based on, did it accomplish what it set out to accomplish?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was supposed to be an improvement on its predecessor, on TM1. Did it accomplish being better than TM1? No, it did not. I think that it tried to expand on the fighting game and cars concept, make the cars more arcadey, the levels more interactive, and in some ways it worked, some ways it did not. But is it more fun to play than TM1? No. So I'm going to give it a lower score than TM1. It's going to get a 5 out of 10 for me. And that's being very generous. That's me sort of deferring to the people that have fond opinions of this game, that there is some merit to what this game is, even if I don't see it. There's some merit out there. And maybe one day I'll be blessed and I'll be able to recognize it. But for me, it's a 5 out of 10.
Definitely fair. As for my rating, just like in the last episode, I'm going to be the critic here. If I was looking at it through a lens of I'm back in 1996 and it just came out, I would give it a solid 3. I think it did some good things and it did a lot of bad things. I think the overly aggressive AI is like the biggest downside for me. Like I said at the beginning, a lot of things feel unfinished, unbalanced, to the point of it's just this game is just agony to play. I've never enjoyed
Ignore me.
As a kid, I never enjoyed it, and I don't enjoy it as an adult. I've put time into it to try to get used to it and try to enjoy it, and I just can't. I think it has really good level design. I think the roster is awesome, and I think the stories are really great. But that's all it has going for it, in my opinion. If I was looking at a lens from today, I would give it a -4. I hate this game.
Yeah.
Damn.
It's crazy. I would say my 2 is generous for how if I put all my hatred into it, like I don't ever want to play this game again. Like, to be honest, I don't ever want to play it again. Like the only time this game ever gets turned on is because if I need a specific character, footage or whatever. Otherwise, I will never ever play this again. Like
Right, Hammerhead on fucking hard mode.
I tried that.
Like,
it was
yeah,
not
I
fun.
hate you. I hate you all for putting me through that.
I remember Winters and we did a race together. We want to see who could play
Oh my
TMP
god, yeah, you were stuck on Holland for like 3 hours.
It fucking sucked. It was painful.
I think I was Axel on medium and he was Hammerhead on hard. And I think he still actually beat me.
I did just
He
barely
did.
by like 20 seconds.
It was close. It was very close.
But I swear halfway through that I stopped talking because I hated it. I fucking hated
I
it so
remember you
much.
both were so
Holland,
like, we want this to be done.
Holland took the life out of me so much.
Oh god, I
But-
hate the Holland level so much.
Yeah.
And that was the
Yeah.
inspiration for the Gridiron Gore level.
Fucking windmills, dude. They
That's
just
fair,
blow
yeah.
up. What's the point? What's the point of having windmills if they just blow up after one fire missile? Get the fuck out of here.
It's Holland, that's the point.
Yeah, I guess.
That's the
why everything
point.
else was blown up.
No, you lose out on a health pickup too.
Yeah.
Yeah, which fucking sucks balls.
And some
Health
homing
pickup
missiles.
and a good
Oh.
chunk of homing missiles.
Hell
The
yeah.
only
I've
way
had
you
runs
would know
on
that.
Holland where
What's
I
that?
spawn in and Slam picks up one of the health that like is at the start, and I
Yep.
restart right there. I cannot. Like if any one of my health goes anywhere else, I'm done.
Game over.
I mean, the only reason you know it's Holland is because there are windmills. If there weren't windmills, it would just be called Gridiron Gore.
It was
Oh,
called Denmark.
God.
It was called Denmark beforehand. So
That is true.
God damn.
And
Which is
speaking,
called-
I don't think we touched on it, but the music of TM2, iconic.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
very good.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's solid, 100%.
However, I will say it's not as good as TM1 only because they don't have the atmospheric sounds that TM1 does.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not as
That was said
iconic.
backwards. Hmm?
Like Twisted Metal 1 soundtrack feels like Twisted Metal.
Yeah.
Twisted Metal 2 just
Yeah,
just
it's
goes
got like
over
that garage band, like crackhead, like vibe, and I like that.
Mhm.
Cokehead vibe.
The
I do
crackhead
like that
band.
TM2 did start to do more of that orchestral, like more dramatic stuff. I think New York was the first level that used
Yeah.
that. That felt pretty cool. I mean, LA Skyline, I think, in TM1 also had like a pretty cinematic score, but
Yeah.
It
I
did.
like that kind of vibe. And I think Twist Metal Black nailed it. But I like when the games sort of get over dramatic like that. A little cheesy, but I like it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. But all right. I think we talked about everything we wanted to at TM2. We gave our honest and open opinions on it. Hope you guys enjoyed listening to it. Thank you so much for being here. And hopefully you check out the next episode coming next week. We'll see you then.
Vote for Calypso.
For what?
For
President?
what?
Just do it. Just vote for him. Please.
Do it. Just go into Discord right now and vote for Calypso.
just
All right, you heard him.
Just put in a vote for him.
There'll be some kind of survey up around Calypso by the time this goes up.
You should probably do it. Just like just put question mark Calypso and just put yes for both answers.
Yes.